Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 289, written by Yaymeimashi. Their daughter presents a ring that was lost. It's been 10 plus years, and we still haven't figured this one out. We do tell this story constantly, and no one has ever come up with a plausible solution. Right after we got married in June 2010, my husband wore his wedding ring to work. At the time, he was working in a big box store's distribution center about 35 miles from our home, working the night shift. He's had a week to get used to wearing it, and he didn't have any issues at work that day with the ring getting in the way. We worried about that. I was afraid he'd lose or break it. At the end of the shift, he went to the bathroom to wash all the black off his hands. He took the ring off, scrubbed it, set it on the right side of the sink, and washed his hands. While doing so, a friend came in and washed his hands on the left side and congratulated him on his wedding, etc., and they walked out together, leaving the ring on the edge of the sink. On the way home, he had his hand out the window, tapping his hand on the side of the car to the music when he realized there was no clinking. He pulled over and checked his key clip, his pockets, socks, and shoes. At the time, he basically wore t-shirts and gym shorts to work every day, so there was a little chance he could miss it anywhere. He called back to work and they checked the restroom to no avail. It was gone. When he got home that night, we checked everything again. He said he remembered setting it down but knew he hadn't picked it up. We made flyers and word was spread throughout the warehouse, but there was nothing about the ring. It never turned up. We checked the pawn shops around town. Nothing. It's simply gone. A year and a half later, our 3-year-old daughter was playing in a spare bedroom, and she came out chatting away and waving her finger at us. Around her finger was my husband's wedding ring. We have no idea how it got home. When she showed us where she found the ring, it was on the floor in the back of the closet, under the boxes. This was a winter coats closet too, nothing that would have had any interaction with him or the ring. It was June when he lost it, so he wasn't wearing a jacket. He worked in a t-shirt and gym shorts with socks and sneakers. He thought perhaps I had another one made and was trying to be slick, but then he noticed there was a gash in the Celtic knot pattern that he hadn't told me about, so it had to be the real thing. Case notes, file number 289. So now we're back in my wheelhouse. Disappearing items reappearing. But this one is special because it moved distance. I found that whenever objects disappear, even people, they're still bound by the gravity of the planet. Otherwise they would re-emerge in nothingness. Or maybe actually, sometimes they're not bound. That's why some objects come back and others don't. Maybe they do physically reappear in the universe, but they weren't bound by the planet's gravity during that time that they were out of phase, and then they just reappear in nothingness, where the planet was. But why are some bound by gravity? And in this case, how would it move such a great distance from work to home, which I'm assuming is like 10 miles or more? That's quite the commute for a ring. If you're enjoying this video, consider giving it a like. Now on to the next story. Case file number 290, written by Comic Book Guy, 87. From Red to Blue, a charging mystery. My phone charger died Saturday evening, so I went to the gas station and bought a cheap red cable charger. Red is my favorite color. I got back home and plugged it in the kitchen to charge my phone. While it was charging, I took a shower, then passed out on my couch watching Tombstone. I woke up around 3 a.m. to use the restroom before going back to bed. After using the restroom, I went to grab my phone to see if it got any texts after using the restroom, and as I was checking my phone, I noticed that the cord on my charger was blue. I turned on the kitchen lights to make sure my eyes weren't playing tricks on me because it was dark in my apartment, but it was actually blue. I know for a fact when I bought it that it was red because I remember thinking, oh cool, they have a red charger, and grabbing it. I spent all day today thinking about it in the back of my head, but I can't think of anything else. If you're wondering what the old charger color is, the one that died, it was a plain white one. Case file number 291. Written by Eastern Cellist 166, a hidden fort that couldn't exist. I live in a town with several 19th century era buildings, including a few Napoleonic forts, 4 known ones. They are well known to urban explorers and have thoroughly been explored and mapped, including one with several tunnels. When I was 16, me and my friends decided it would be a fun day out to go there. We had done this many times and knew the fort by heart, including all exits and entry points that had not been closed up by the council yet. We went in as usual, and all seemed to be normal. We climbed around and had some fun before moving on to the tunnels. We decided to go through the most popular tunnel there, as it was easiest to navigate, and one of my friends was a bit claustrophobic. We had gone through this tunnel several times before, and so did many others, so it is very well mapped and usually opens up to just a big empty room with windows looking into the center of the fort. This tunnel does fork off in two directions, but both lead to similar rooms. However, this time, for some reason, after taking a left at the fork like we usually did, as the room on that side was in a less decayed state, the tunnel opened up to something that to this day, me and my friends cannot explain nor replicate. We entered what at first seemed to be the usual room, but we quickly noticed that it was in a near perfect state. No graffiti, no vandalism, no empty beer cans, or a charred floor from a campfire. There was nothing unusual. It was like the place hadn't been touched since it was converted into a hospital in World War II. We were very confused, but decided to look around. We quickly noticed that it was a completely different fort. We all thought that we had stumbled our way in and that it had somehow gone unnoticed by urban explorers that were in the area before, and we had found it by pure accident. With little hope, I tried looking up the coordinates, but unfortunately, as was often the case in these areas, due to these forts essentially being buried, I couldn't get any GPS signal, which did not surprise me. We explored and speculated on the position of the untouched fort for the rest of the day, thinking we had scored gold, having found yourself the dream hideout or hangout area. The tunnel was roughly 1 kilometer long, so we knew it couldn't be too far from the known location. After a great day of exploring this urban explorer's wet dream, we packed up and left without any problems. We went back through the tunnel and popped out on the other end in the expected place. This is where it struck us. We took great care in noting our way back through the tunnel in order to find the fort again on our next visit. The route we took was the same as we always did. We had not accidentally deviated or anything. This was the exact same route we usually took. Me and a mate decided to quickly run back to it just to make sure. We arrived at the opening and, as usual, the tunnel opened up to the room we had earlier expected. Since then, my friends have tried numerous times to find the fort again. Unfortunately, I cannot take part in the search, at the moment at least, for personal reasons. I have, however, tried to find signs of it on Google Earth, but unlike its supposed neighboring fort, it does not appear there at all. All research I have done related to this does not seem to indicate the existence of this fifth fort that we saw. To this day, that fort remains some sort of glitch in the matrix. I'm not posting this here for it to be solved, but I just think it's an interesting and mysterious event. Case file number 292, written by GinnyMcJuicy. Friend who died was reanimated. I was pretty close friends with this boy in middle and high school, and we lost touch after graduation. He joined the military. In my early 20s, I called his home phone number at his parents' house, just on a whim, and spoke with his brother, who told me that his friend had a brain tumor and was honorably discharged, and then sadly died. For my 20-year high school reunion a few years back, someone set up a Facebook page for the event and included a bunch of old photos. One of them had a shot of my friend and I commented on how sad it was that he died so young. Another classmate commented that he was alive and well and linked his Facebook page. I clearly remembered the conversation with his brother and frequently, over the years, had moments of sadness over his passing. I sent a friend request that he didn't accept, and we have yet to speak. While it might be easy to assume that this guy just hates me, that's really unlikely. We never had any sort of drama or anything, and I spoke with his brother on the fly, as this was well before social media. Unless his brother had some standing order like, if this girl I was friends with in high school randomly calls the house for no reason, tell her I died. It's just weird as hell. Case notes. So my thought on this is there's a few possibilities. Of the more mundane is, as you say, he just decided he didn't really want to talk to you anymore and thus faked his death in a sense. It's not entirely likely, but it's not impossible either. The other option is maybe in the military, or after he was discharged. He saw some sort of crime, and now he's in WITSEC. And then in the realm of the unusual, maybe it's a doppelganger just posing as him.